Hey, welcome back. This is Dan Brzezowski. Today's episode is we're going to talk about going the extra mile and what that means to you. We'll see you on the inside.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Hey, welcome back. So taking a step in the right direction, this is Dan Brzezowski, and what I wanted to share with you is based on my last podcast that I did. I'm going to be sharing with you stories from the No Comfort Zone, people that have actually gone through adversity, people that have come up on the other side successful for whatever that means for them, and I want you to hear their story. So please, if you know of somebody, if you've come across somebody in your life and you think they have an interesting story and you look at them and you're like, you know what, you inspire me based on dealing with the adversity and coming out on top, and you think that person is successful, living on purpose or living with passion, I'd love to meet them and send them to the show. thenocomfortzone.com or dan@thenocomfortzone.com. Try to connect us and we'll go from there. I'd love to hear what your story is. I'd love to see how you survived your adversity. And more importantly, I want to see how great things are going for you right now. That's what I'm trying to do. But today's topic is going to be about going the extra mile. Recently was in a sales meeting and I had a chance to meet with some of the leadership, and it's interesting. This is the crazy part. There's a difference in the employee that's actually reading inspirational business book and leadership books, and there's a difference between the person that's not. There's a level of complacency for the person that's not, and there's a level of, hey, I want to get to the next level for the person that is. And the craziest thing is most of the people that are successful, that aren't growing, they have the mentality of been there, done that. That is, I think, a really, really bad way to go. The way that I look at it and the stuff that I've been listening to and reading and studying and listening to lectures on and spending my waking hours, every minute has been filled with this for the past 60 days, is about this, the universal laws that govern what we do. And I'm looking at it from a lot of different points of view. And one of those laws is the law of compensation, where when you put work in, you're going to get something back in return. We don't know what it is. We don't know when it is, but you want to work. You want to earn it. And the way I see it is, I always talk about this in my industry. I always talk about when you do the right thing when nobody's watching, you're doing the right thing. And the next right thing will happen. And let's say that the wrong thing happens. As long as you do and are proactive and do the next right thing, you can ensure yourself that the next right thing will happen. You're not going to know exactly what it is. You might not understand what's going on, but the fact is that's the way it works. That's the way the universe, that's the way God gets in your life and says, hey, listen, I'm going to put you back on track. So here's some adversity. Let's see how you deal with it. If you choose the easy way out, you're not going to really grow from that. You're not really going to become the best version of yourself. So you're not going to get many more challenges like that. You'll just get the same challenges over and over again until you can resolve that issue, until you can grow then. Now, please understand, with the level of adversity or challenges that you have, when you face that head on and you do the right thing, the right way, in a certain way, what ends up happening is you grow from that period. That adversity that you push past, that you learn from or you grow from, or you get the wisdom from, it gives you opportunities for, yes, more adversity. But there's something that I've never mentioned in the podcast before, is you get a new level of reward too. That's what's great about going through a no comfort zone period. I used to do this podcast quite a bit and encourage people to join me during a no comfort zone period. And then I did realize that it's just too hard for people. It's too hard for you to break away from 95% of your paradigm of your habits and behaviors, your thoughts, your feelings and actions. It's just too hard to do that. You really have to be at that place in your life where you really want to change. And when you're ready to change, you just don't know how. That's when you join me in a no comfort zone. I can push you there, but when you're there, it's difficult. And I've gone through 5 of them so far. I've grown each time. I've become unrecognizable. I love myself that much more when I'm done. But the truth and the matter is that if you put good in, good's going to come out. If you work really hard at something with no expectation of return, what you're going to get in return is satisfaction. You're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to realize that you've done an honest day's work. You're going to realize that you went the extra mile. I just told my wife this recently. I just said, you know what's great about you? We've been married 11 years. I said, what's been great about you is that no matter what, in everything you do, you always go the extra mile. For the kids, for yourself, for our dogs that we have, for our home, for family, for a community that you're tied to, for her customers, for her business. She really does in every aspect of her life. She goes the extra mile. I don't. I'll be honest. I don't go every minute of every day the extra mile. But in the areas that I do, massive rewards. I'm trying to balance things out in my life to make sure that I get back into of course, I've said it for 5 years now, or 4 years in this podcast, to get healthier, to get more physically fit, and to get to a place where I can feel 1,000% better about myself. It's a work in progress. Now, when it comes to this, when it comes to business, when it comes to family, I'm not going to say that I've been there and done that, but I will say this. I know when I'm getting a little too comfortable, taking things for granted, I need to turn it up a little bit, and then I need to go the extra mile. And the key is that if you can go the extra mile on a regular basis, you don't have to worry. It becomes part of your knowledge, becomes part of your attitude, your skills, and your habits. That's part of the No Comfort Zone blueprint. Knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. We work on those during this 30, 60-day period where you get out of your comfort zone and completely lose your mind in the no comfort zone. And then when you put yourself back together at the end, kind of like Marine boot camp, kind of like rehab, things that I both experienced, what ends up happening is you come, like a spiritual retreat as well, you come out and you have fulfillment when you're done. You look back at your journey over that period of time, the sacrifice, the discipline, the drive, the goals, just the perseverance to have faith that at the end of this is going to work out. That's what this is all about. What I want to share with you is by going the extra mile. Here's a story that I just recently became aware of listening to a lecture from, I think, 1928 or 1938. Forgive me, because I don't know if it's 1928 or 1938, but I'm fascinated by Napoleon Hill. So for the past 60 days, I've been studying so much about this man, and I can't believe how much I've learned. And it's funny, in one of the lectures, he talks very specifically about if you want to get better at the universal law of attraction, you need, Think and Grow Rich. If you want to get better at this, you need to start teaching it to other people. Even if you don't know it 100%, as long as you know a little bit to get somebody from point A to point B, just teach them what you do know. You're going to go so much further. And it's crazy because just from the story alone that I'm going to share with you now, and I highly recommend that you check it out. It's, oh my gosh, I think it's called The Masterclass by Napoleon Hill. It's a 15-hour lecture. There's a workbook. I can't find it. I'm still looking for it, but I'm taking massive notes, trying to learn more about this because it takes all the things that I believe in: personal growth and development, business, my religion, spirituality, Christianity for me. It doesn't matter what religion you are, though, for whatever religion you follow. There's something that works, these universal laws, and that's what they are, and that's what he discusses. But here's an interesting part. If you haven't picked up the book, Think and Grow Rich, I strongly recommend that you do. And I strongly recommend that you listen to the author, Napoleon Hill, on how he says to read the book, how to consume the book. And it's it's not a storybook that you read from beginning to end. It's you read a chapter, you meditate on it, you do what it says, you try to find the secret in each one of the chapters. And I'll be honest, towards the end, it gets a little bizarre when they talk about these masterminds, but to stay on point, he talks about going the extra mile. And then he takes, no matter what you do, the universal law of compensation, when you go the extra mile, it has to pay off. But there's something that everyone needs to understand is that, you can reap and you can sow, but you can't do it in the same season. There's a time for reaping, there's a time for sowing, but you can't do them in the same season. And that's from Bob Proctor, who I've been studying a lot of, who rest in peace. He's no longer with us, but he wrote a number of wonderful books, great seminars, and I've listened to a few of them, and connected with his company on a few different things recently. Now, what I want to share with you is going the extra mile is when you put in an honest effort with no expectation of anything in return, just to do a good job, to give something of yourself, it's going to pay back in some way, shape, or form. And it doesn't have to be, if I'm going to give you these goods and services, I'm going to get something in return directly from those goods and services. It doesn't work that way. And that's my experience too. If you do the right thing when no one's looking because it's the right thing to do, somewhere else in your life, if you're in alignment with what you want, certain things are going to show up or opportunities are going to present themselves to give you opportunity to grow. And when you grow, you have that opportunity to become wealthy. And I mean that family, spiritually, monetarily. I mean all these different things. And the level of abundance that I'm experiencing in different areas of my life, it's overwhelming. That's one of the reasons why I reached out to the Bob Proctor company, PGI. I reached out to him because I'm having a very difficult time understanding this good opportunities that are coming my way. And they had to explain it to me, basically, that with what I'm doing when no one's looking and going the extra mile, that I'm actually receiving things that I'm in alignment with because I have my goals clearly written down. I do the appropriate affirmations. I do the good things that are necessary to help people around me without getting caught. And it's starting to pay back to me. And I want to share that with you. And the story of Napoleon Hill, how he was a journalist. He was assigned to go speak to Andrew Carnegie, the richest man in the world at the time, and do a 3-hour bit with them and take some notes from him and bring it back to the paper. What I found out is that after the 3 hours, Carnegie said, I want you to stay with me for 3 days. And Napoleon Hill didn't have the money to stay in a hotel, so he did it, and he was awarded, he was able to sit with him for 3 days, and he wasn't getting paid by the paper, which I didn't know, for the extra 3 days that he was there. But more importantly, what he did, Carnegie asked him a question. Will you give up 20 years of your life to document what I'm sharing with you? I'm going to introduce you to 500 people with letters of recommendation or introduction. And what I'm going to do is I want you to meet with these people and I want you to document. And that's what I want to do. I want to share this with the world. And because of that, he was able to write this book, Think and Grow Rich. But here's what I didn't know. He did this for 20 years without getting paid. Think about that for a minute. 20 years without getting paid. And Carnegie said, with the information that I'm going to give you, you're going to become wealthier. You'll create more wealth and abundance than I ever have. Now, here's a guy who's broke, newspaper, writing an article, richest man. And he's like, yeah, right. Okay. Whose leg are you pulling? And if you check it out in the audio, it's amazing. It's a great story about going the extra mile and committing and making a decision quickly. What people don't know is that he was given 1 minute to make a decision right then and there. And Carnegie told him at the end of it, you answered it perfectly. He said he would willingly take on the commission, meaning to publish his book and work with him. He would willingly do that and he would fulfill his word. I think that's absolutely amazing. Now, 20 years later, he produces the book. A little time goes by. He's not really active in teaching the lessons of the book. He realized for him to get a better understanding, he needed to teach it. So that goes right back to you, the listener. If you have an opportunity and you know something, start teaching it to people. You don't have to be perfect. Become a teacher like I did when it came to sales, management, leadership. Study everything you possibly can. Read every book on the subject. Do whatever you're able to do when you can do it and watch what happens and then start teaching it. You master it so much quicker. That's why I do this podcast. It's so therapeutic for me. I get to connect with so many different people. I have an opportunity to touch the lives of so many people, and I get more out of it in return. It's wonderful. And anybody that's in my position knows exactly what I'm talking about. And I do appreciate every opportunity that you've given me to listen to my podcast because it does help me. Now, what's really interesting is that because of the book, Think and Grow Rich, and because of his lectures, Napoleon Hill was able to create more wealth from the teachings of that and the people he inspired and the thousands of people and as many books as he's sold because of it and how many fortunes he's created because he documented 20 years of his life. And let's just say this too, he became very wealthy himself also. And that's no secret. So the funny thing is that when I put this in perspective, here's a guy who, he would be perfect for the show, don't you think? You got a guy, Napoleon Hill. He's broke. He's an employee, not making very much money. He wants to go to law school. He made a commitment with his brother that he, Napoleon Hill, from the job at the newspaper, would fund his brother and him through law school. Could you imagine that? 20 years, your family's telling you you're out of your mind. You're working with the richest man in the world, and he's paying you nothing? What a cheap bastard. Have a nice day. But he didn't. He kept his word. That's doing the right thing, don't you think? So when you do the right thing for 20 years, the next right thing's going to happen. He always made his way. He didn't have to rely on anybody. He never had to ask Carnegie, so I know, for any money. He did it on his own. He did it. And no matter how long it took, he was sowing that entire time. And then finally, when it came time to reap the rewards, he was able to in abundance. And as he says in the book, it'll come so fast, you won't know where it's coming from. I'm experiencing that, and I want to share that with you. That's happening for me right now in so many different ways, not monetarily, not just monetarily, but in other opportunities as well. My heart is filled with so much love and joy right now because of all the level of goal achievement, passion, purpose, seeing people that have listened to this podcast that I've worked with before, that are friends of mine, seeing them excel and succeed, seeing them deal with adversity like a champion and coming out on top with a positive attitude, saying to themselves, yeah, I can make it one more day. I'm good to go. Because let's face it. I mean, I did this talk a long time ago. I went to an organization and they were shocked. They just couldn't believe that that's true. And it's a statistic that I heard a while ago. 30% of the employees that you have or the people that you're surrounded with have something major negatively going on in their life. They need something to hold on. They need some help. What if you're that person of help? So I think by going the extra mile and doing what you're supposed to do, and, you know, when no one's watching, are you doing the right thing? And if you do something good, don't get caught. That's huge. Don't get caught. Just feel good about yourself. That's the reward. Knowing that you help somebody out without getting caught, it's wonderful. It's amazing. And I get an opportunity to do that every day. And I hope you start doing the same. So this podcast is here for you. And I want you to know this. I want you to find somebody out there that has had adversity, that figured out a way to get through it. I'd like to match them up to my blueprint. I want them on this show, and I want to interview them, and I want to talk to them about what did they do? Who are they? What's their story? Let's share it with the world. Let's inspire somebody else together. I want to be the person that gets your voice out on this podcast to the thousands of listeners that I have. And I greatly appreciate the time and the energy that you spent listening to this. And I certainly hope you get something out of it every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. I appreciate you more than you know. You're worthy and you are worthwhile. And I look forward to hearing from you in some way, shape, or form. Dan at thenocomfortzone.com or thenocomfortzone.com. Get on my calendar. We can have a conversation about you being on this show and then sending it out to thousands. Greatly appreciate it. Hey, as we always say at the end of every show, if you truly want to be the hero version of yourself, life does not begin until you get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.